them as well. So if I group them, these have been grouped. So we've got these in a group, and we've got these in a group. So this is quite important because sometimes you may want to separate the lower arch from the upper arch when you've got a full mouth rehab. So this is quite a good thing that we need to do. And here we get to set and do things with the teeth. So we can, for instance, select all teeth. Now, because this has been put into this layer, we can select all the teeth at any given moment. And then what we can do is we can join them, and then we can choose the teeth again. So we've got lots of flexibility of how we're going to be dealing with these teeth. So I'm going to delete the unwanted teeth, and then I'm going to place them into position. And that snaps it straight away into the position according to our mounting plate, our mounting table. Now that may not be 100% correct, but it is quite close. So from here, we can delete the table, okay? And we're basically finished scaling them and putting them in where we want to put them in. Okay, so I'll just have a quick break. Wolfgang, have you got any questions regarding, this so far?
No, I don't have questions. And I do see the logic of the mounting table so that you can get that snap-on effect to where you want it.
Yeah, that's correct. So now with the tooth library, we want to be able to move these teeth. So if we go into the fast setup, we get to edit, move them and edit them. So I can view it from the bottom, for example. And we use the G key and the R key to move these things into position. So let's just move them a little bit into position where we think they should be. And then we can do quite a lot of other things to this. So for instance, we may want to get the angles correct of the front teeth or whatever. And now this is not mandatory for you to do, but if you wanted to work with angles, we need to change the axes of the teeth. So for example, we may put a tool, an upper tool over here, and then we can view it from the bottom, and we can then rotate this tool. So this changes the tooth axis. So if I view it from the front, we can rotate it, and then we've got like a little marker over here. And this marker I'm going to move inwards into the tooth until there's a little dot like this. And then I can accept the new axis. And sorry, one step back. Shift left click, and then accept the axis, and then it turns a different color. I can do the same with this front tooth, for example. So then I would put the upper tool, and then what I'm actually trying to do is I'm trying to match the angles. So this is a little bit tricky to learn, but it's not mandatory to do this. But if you wanted to have like real precise angles, like orthodontics, for example, I want to think about orthodontics and other things. So we then just set this one here like that, and then I can select this one, and then we can then mirror the coordinates. And this is now put it in the exact correct angle as to the other one. And then we can accept the coordinates. So this is now obviously the shape of this tooth is not so cool. And this is why I was talking about earlier of cutting them out. of the, especially with a front tooth, unless you've got a tooth library where it looks very similar. So, but yeah, so what I'll do is I will bring in another model. So a different file. And so here I've outlined it very similar. Oh, I've got all of this stuff, sorry. So we've basically outlined it very similar to what we do usually with our when we're cutting off a tooth. So I'm still working on this algorithm a little bit. And then we can click on copy tooth. And then what it does, it's actually copied this tooth. So if I go G, we can see it's been copied. Now we want the users to be able to create their own tooth library. And this is a perfect opportunity because as we're cutting teeth off, we can then save the teeth for somebody else. So we've got a donor in some way. We can also, okay, I'll just bring that in again. And just put all this stuff to the side. We can choose to do like an immediate tooth. So if I go copy tooth and socket model, what that does, it'll then socket the model. Just hide the other one. And we've got a socket there. So this is really good for immediate dentures, for example. So if you want to remove 4 or 6 front teeth, you can then socket the model, and then you would then obviously take this specific one and use the splint module and then join this tooth to the layer. So we can think of making partial dentures, for example. Okay. I'll just bring in another tooth. Here we've got, I've outlined this beforehand as well. And what I'm going to do is we're going to copy, and then we get a chance to then mirror image that copy and mirror selected. And that puts it straight away to the other side. Now this is very helpful because if you wanted to make a temporary bridge, for example, and this is not a crown and bridgework module, but the opportunity exists. Now we can say, okay, do we want to keep both of these? I can click on keep both, yeah? Or I can say, okay, let's just keep one, copy, and then we will keep the mirrored one. That will delete this one, and then we've got our little bridge. Now, it doesn't look 100%, so it still needs a little bit of work here and there. But so if I hide this model, for example, and then we can, so there's a few buttons still not present at the moment, but we can then change the bases, for example. And this will be helpful for us to then use for our crown and bridge work, because this in itself, we could use that as well. Okay, so I'll just open up another file, and this is pretty cool actually. Now this is a scan from a Medit scanner. Now I'm a lot in favor with these Medit scanners because we are able to use the biological colors in Blender, and you can see how beautiful they actually look. Now, here this person, say for example, wants to have, you know, a few front teeth. I've actually aligned this with the model designer, and where is my, this is 2.9. Oh gosh, I need to install that quickly, but now I've got the WaxUp. So with a model designer, I've aligned these teeth exactly like we do before with a enter target and opposing, and I've aligned it. And the way I do this is I make sure that the facial scan is part of my lower model. So I would choose a facial scan, shift left click then to select my lower model, and I would then join it so that this becomes the lower model, and then we can align it. And then in the WaxUp module, we can then say this is the upper, name upper, and this is the lower, and we can bring in our mounting table. We can set it nicely. I think I pre-did this beforehand, and then we can view it from the bottom, and exactly like I've explained previously. Then we can unhide the lower, and then delete the mounting plate. Then of course perhaps we want to hide the lower, and we want to bring in a generic tooth library, for example. So import generic tooth library, and we're going to only select the top. So the first thing that I want to do is we're going to select our teeth, and just say, for example, we select the 6 upper teeth, and then we would delete all the others, and then we would place them in position. So from here on, we can easily continue and put them where we want them to be. Now, okay, we may think, okay, this one could come out a little bit, and so on. So so in this toolbar, we can select all the teeth. That does it immediately. We can join the teeth, and we can separate the teeth. So we're very flexible, because sometimes we want to be able to use all the teeth in one go, and sometimes we only want to use one tooth, for example. And this is a typical example now, because I want to sculpt these teeth, and I can do them one after the other individually, just to bring these necks in where they should be, because they're popping out, but the rest of the teeth are more or less in the correct position. So I'm going to select all the teeth, and then we're going to join them. And then in our in our sorry, I've just got to find this in our setup. I'll just close everything else down so we don't get confused. So in the file setup, we can then heat map. So I'm going to select the back, and this is going to be the model which I want to map to. And this one then, I will then click on View Heat Map. And this gives me a good indication how thick these teeth actually are. So the red is 0, the blue is 1. There are 4 different colors in between those 0 and 1. So each color represents 0.25 millimeters. And this is quite useful, because we may want to make it thicker or thinner in some areas. So I'm going to click on Sculpt, and then we can move this in quite easily. So I'm going to just change the strength a little bit. Just move them in a bit. And of course, if you wanted to do crown lengthening, this is a good indication of how long you think these teeth should be. So we can toggle in and out of the heat map. And there's a shortcut, Control right click. So if I go Control right click, I can see what's going on. So the canine there is a little bit thin. It's red. So I can just go over here and make it a little bit thicker, shift right click, and the red has disappeared. And we can do the same on the back. So I can just simply get rid of all this mesh, something like that. Are you still there, Wolfgang?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm watching.
I'm worried that,
Everybody's
you
gone
know,
home.
I thought so.
You're on your own,
Right.
mate.
So, okay.
Hey, you're doing a good
Now,
job. It's looking really nice, I think.
so we're going to exit the sculpt, and again we can do heat map, shift right click to look at the thickness of it, and that toggles in and out. So I'm going to exit there. And now we've had this request from a lot of people. How can I make a try-in for this? Well, these can be very thin, and maybe the material that we have, I mean, Wolfgang, what is the thinnest you think we could print? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. 0.5 maybe, or 0.8. Yeah, maybe if you're lucky.
So in wireframe, I can see, okay, look, they extend way beyond where where the gum is. And, I mean, if I wanted to bring this down, I can go into the edit mode, edit mesh, and then click on it. And using the G key, we can bring it down to where, but you can see how short these teeth actually are. I mean, I would say maybe, having a longer tooth ratio would be ideal. So this gives you a good opportunity to just to see what's going on. So again, wireframe, we can see how far they're extending to actually give this person a lovely smile. Okay, so back into texture mode. Now, like I was saying, that a lot of people have asked us if we can print these. And well, yes, we can, but in Blender, we always need to think about how the Boolean tool works. And sometimes, forget about taking all of these and then cutting them. You have to unify them into one object. Unless you do all of them separately and print all of them separately, you can do that. For this example, I will take and I will make one object out of this. So I'm going to go copy. I'm going to say copy into a unit. No, sorry, go. Oh, it's crashed. Are you there, Wolfgang?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, no
Screen
stress. Don't
sharing has
worry.
stopped. What's happened here? I'll just have to go in. Okay, so, and I warned you guys beforehand. Can you
Mm.
see my screen or not?
No, not yet.
Okay, let's just bring you back to life. Eh?
I've got it
Share
on
screen.
screen sharing.
Can you see my screen?
Something's happening. Just some. Yeah, 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 yeah. You're back.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
No set.
Let's just see if I can recover the auto saved. Hold on a sec. This is exactly, yeah, thank goodness. For you guys that don't know how that works, it's a lifesaver sometimes.
The
So
autosave.
file, recover, auto save. And you can set your Blender to various time. You can save it every 2 minutes or whatever you want to save it on. So, wow, okay. So what we'll do is we're going to join these objects and copy into a unit. And so this now gives me the opportunity to voxel remesh it. And again, like the other modules, we can set the voxel remesh. And then what I want to do is I want to cut this. So select object being cut, and I'm going to choose this one. Now, if you wanted to do like a snap-on smile, you know, you're going to have to think about undercuts and things like that. So, all right. So then we're going to apply this. And then let's see whether we've actually got our shells. Okay, our temps. And we have indeed. Okay. So that's one thing I wanted to show you tonight. And let's have a look and see how this patient actually looks. I'm going to put it back to vertex colors. And we can see we've got larger teeth. And I think that looks actually quite nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's heading into smile design. That's later on. This is just a preview of what can be achieved. Okay, so I'm going to close the chapter with this, and let's have a look at something else. Okay. So we're going to have a look at this denture thing. Okay. So I'll just put a matte cap on there as well. Okay. Can you see my screen, Wolfgang?
Yeah, all good.
All right, so assuming now we want to bring in hollow teeth, just close all this down so we don't get confused. Okay, import teeth, import hollow teeth. Now, what does that do? The hollow teeth are useful for making gum. So we need those open teeth to make our gum. So what I'll do is they're blue. I'm going to move them into the collection so that they're like that. And of course, we can change the geometry again. We can select the teeth if we want to. We just give it a quick wipe across and then delete unwanted. And then what I'll do is I'll bring these teeth down. Okay. Look at it from the bottom. Use my G key. Just get an estimate. And now we're going to go into the gum. Okay, so the first thing that I do is I'm going to join these, and then I'm going to get the loops of these things. I'll look at it from the top, and then we're going to create gum. And that creates tissue. Now, of course, this tissue, we want to connect nicely with the model. And so what I'll do is, okay, this has not been 100% structured on the menu, but you guys can just see basically what I'm doing. So I'm going to select this here like this. We're going to scale this, and I'm going to use GZ to bring it into the, okay, so if you had a splint, for example, a splint layer, you'd pull this thing straight through the splint layer. Oh, what's happening now? Done something wrong. Nope. Doesn't want to work. GZ. Okay, I was hitting the wrong button. Just put this on active element. Scale. Yeah, this is what I wanted. Okay, so from here we've got our gum, which would then be connected to the splint layer, and then we would then go and remesh this. Now we can make this gum a bit larger if we want to, or we can make it a bit smaller if we want to. And then we're going to remesh this. Okay. Now, in order to, we're remeshing this so that we can use our sculpting skills. Now, for those of you that don't know, Blender has absolute amazing sculpting brushes. For example, so I would click on the smooth layer. So this would just smooth my mesh. So we can give this a quick paint or whatever. So if you needed gum, this is basically how we would do it. And it's very quickly done because our margins have been selected and they're exactly where they're meant to be. So if I wanted to, these are all the sculpting things. I'll open up the menu a little bit. There's names to all of these. You can, for example, you can grab tissue. You can draw. Now this is very good. You can sculpt your layer, and this is how we would then festoon our denture. So I'll just quickly just do a little bit so that you guys can see what we can do. Okay, over there we can just put a bit of a, and then we got the minus and the pluses. We can, so we got lots, we can do a lot of things here on our little denture. So, and then we'll just give it a quick smooth. So in our tutorials, we're not going to be heading down the sculpting. There's a lot, we'll maybe do a little bit, but there's a lot on YouTube how to do sculpting in Blender. Okay. We can bring the gum up a little bit. So there's a lot we can do. So basically this would be the way into the denture modules. Okay. So I'll exit sculpt, and then we'll remesh this. And then that's then ready to join to your layer, your splint layer. Okay.
So
Are there any
for
questions so far?
dentures
Yeah.
like this, you'd always use open tooth libraries where you can loop the edge of each tooth
Yeah.
to draw out
exactly.
the gum. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
So I'll just open up another file. So this is a big case using the articulator. I have opened the articulator by 3 millimeters, and oh gosh, I don't have the articulator installed in this one. It's telling me. Wolfgang, can you hold the floor for a second?
You can show us how to install modules.
That's quite good. Now I've got it. I've just got it unchecked.
Okay.
Just got it unchecked. And the model design, it's all there. So it's all here. It's just unchecked. All right. So the articulator. Some of you guys know how this works. We can view our movements. There's no movements attached to this specific one at the moment. So I won't go heavy into this because this is not about the articulator. So I'll just quickly set a few things. So set, I'll leave it open. We'll bring this through this way. Move the jaw slightly there. Apply. And this one slightly across. And apply. So that's the articulator. We can view it and we can play. So So now this is a big case, and here what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in some teeth. So import generic teeth, and we're going to select a few teeth. So choose teeth, give it a quick brush from one side to the next. I'll only do the upper for now, or maybe we should or do the lower as well. I'll just do the lower as well then. We're going to then select those, delete unwanted. Yeah, well, okay, so they're all here. Just put them in there. And now, and this is what I was saying earlier, because these are all individual now. And this is really a pain because we may want to separate them in groups. Well, it's easily done. I'm going to select them, join, and then we can redo this like that. And then we can group them. So we're just going to group them, and then that puts the top and the bottom together. So I may want to hide this. I'll look at this from the bottom, and then we're going to then, all right, so this one should actually be a bit smaller. So I'll just scale it just a little bit, and then we're going to separate these, and it's always constantly using the separate, and because we got to sort of, like here, we working individually. Let's put this one over here, something like that. And I'm going to then join them again. Select teeth and join them again. And let's do some sculpt. Oh, this one is a little bit out. Yeah. So again, I can just click on separate, take this tooth and move it out a bit. Yeah, like that. Okay. Select teeth, join the teeth, and then we can go and do sculpting around the neck over here. I'm going to choose this to view my heat map. So here, heat map again, and I can see exactly what's going on. And now we've got a few different keys here. For example, if I wanted to bring the mesh outwards, we've got a shortcut key there. So I can just select over here, and then the shortcut key is Control Up. So I'm going to click on Control Up, and this will bring my mesh out by 0.5 millimeters. Now, it's not so important in this example, but when we're doing crowns and bridges, you may have an occlusal surface hitting the tooth preparation, for example. So we want to bring it out, say 0.5, because we could mill at 0.5 millimeters. So that'll lift it up by 0.5, or we can push it down by 0.5. So let's use the G key. So if we go into Edit Mesh, we can use the G key, and then we can bring that mesh outwards, and it'll then stick. It'll stick to that surface where we want it to stick. So I'm just selecting, left click, and then it'll adhere to the surface. So yeah. And then, of course, we may want to make temporary. So this needs to actually be quite a way thicker, all of this. So again, we will then enter the sculpting. So here, sculpt, and we can quickly sculpt it like that to make sure that it's thick enough. And this is very easy to do. You can set the strength. And we'll just thicken it up. And then of course you do that with the lower model as well. And then using the articulator, we are able then to grind in the bite. And I'd like to actually do that in a separate Zoom meeting, how we're going to grind in the bite. So I'm toggling, right click, and I can see, oh, there's some red zones over here. And I can quickly just sculpt them and toggle. Sculpt and toggle. So I don't want to see red because red is too thin. Okay. All right. So yeah. And then the procedure is exactly the same with if we wanted to make temporaries, we would need the splint module then, because we then join we join our WaxUp to the model, and then make shells for temporary crowns.
So you'd actually
Okay.
make minimal preparations on a digital platform, kind of.
Yeah. So I would, for example, I would voxel remesh this, and while we're doing this, a copy has been made of our existing WaxUp. So if you want to change it, you just delete this specific one, and the copy of it will be residing in one of these folders, and we can show that in the tutorial. So I'm going to voxel remesh it, and then of course this would have to be joined to the model, the specific one. We would then join this one to the model, join, but this is permanent if you do that. So you can't go back unless you save a copy. And then you would then join this to this specific with a union. All right, I'll just try that union. And then you take the splint module, cover this with a splint, and then be able to make temporary shells.
Okay.
Actually, that we could have brought up a little bit more. Yeah.
Mm.
But I think it's a basic idea. Okay.
Mm.
Good. I think that sort of rounds things up for today.
Yeah.
There's a few more things. I think we've discussed the gum, and I think we've discussed quite a lot of it, most of it. I didn't think I would get through it.
Mm. No, awesome.
Okay, good. Good.
Excellent. Well, thank you,
I'll
Michael.
stop sharing my screen.
I'm going to ask people to unmute. If you've got questions for Mike, feel free to bombard him with questions.
Yes, I have one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, when you imported the not hollow teeth for the replacement of one tooth for a group of tooth in a bridge, actually they are not as the abutment suggests. They don't fit to the abutment. How do you fit them to the abutment? Because usually when I prepare a tooth for a crown, I prepare an abutment, and I need to make an abutment. I need to make a crown to fit on the abutment.
You need like a die. Are you saying a die or an
Right.
implant abutment? A die.
No. You showed us how to import a tooth, for
Yes.
example. Okay. Let's talk about the tooth number 21. Which shows on the model, it shows a die. Okay, you have a die for it. Now you have to get, in order to be milled or printed as a temporary one on that die. How do you do that? How do you prepare a tube that will fit on the die?
All right, so just to make it clear, this is not the crown and bridgework module, because the crown and bridgework module will take the crown, the actual tooth from the tooth library, and merge it with the margin. So
I see.
Yeah, so that's not in the WaxUp module. But if you wanted to do that, you can just simply do a Boolean cut. Now, it won't be 100% to the margin, but yeah, because it's a diagnostic WaxUp tool. It's not a crown and bridge work module.
I see.
Okay, but I'll just
That's where I was mistaken.
yeah.
Okay,
So
thanks.
in our crown and bridge work module, we'll then take that and then fuse it to, because we need to block out the die. Often the dies are undercut. We need to block them out, and then we also need to join the body of the tooth to the actual margin. So that's in the crown and bridge work module. But
I
for
see.
temporary crowns, you can just make a Boolean cut.
Yeah, and you can make them whole and fill it later
Yeah.
when you have the patient in the chair, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, good. So do you guys want to know something else, or do you think we're missing something in the module? I think it's quite extensive.
I want to ask, when you import to the upper model all the colors too, and when you put the gum which connects the base of the tooth with the
Yeah.
model, how is it possible to create the full base, which is must have this model this actually model, or
Are you talking about making a denture, for example?
sorry?
Are you talking about making a denture, or
Yeah,
what are you
so
talking
to
about?
say
Yeah.
provisional or base for
Yeah.
for
So if you got
taking the vertical
if you got the splint module, you would make a layer. Yeah, and then you would only make a layer, then you would extrude the gum like we've done earlier, and then you would use a target model, because we're using the target model to cut the splint layer. You'd use a target model to cut off our nice gum festooning, and then you join it, you join it to the layer, the splint layer, merge it, just do quick smoothing and whatever, and then you've got your denture. But again, this is not a denture module. This is more like for diagnostic WaxUps and so on. But people that want to extend themselves outwards, they can do that. Yeah. Good. So I think
Hello.
that's, yeah, hi.
Hi, this is Rufaida. I'm a resident from Florida, the US. I have a suggestion rather than a question. We
Yes.
usually, when we do our WaxUps, like full mouth or even the denture setup, we do it on following the curve of Spee.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah.
and the mounting plate is pretty flat. So I don't know. And there is actually a plate that is curved, like 20 degrees curved.
Yeah. What I've done is the generic tooth library, when you bring it in, it already follows the curve of Spee. But so you may be suggesting that we should make the mounting plate in the shape of the curve of Spee. Good.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good good idea, and I value that. Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
reckon that's a good.
That would be really helpful in balancing the dentures as well later on.
I think you're 100% correct. I didn't really think about that at this stage, to be honest, because in the lab we've got a mounting table for the articulator, but I think that's really very cool. And all I need to do is change the shape of the actual mounting table. Good, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There is also the Wilson curvature can also be put it on this type. So you can use like a coupole, like an Emmy ball. So we can adjust on the Sp line and on the Wilson line also. So they can
Curve of Wilson, curve of Sp. I'm sure there's a template somewhere that I can find so that I can get the exact angles. One thing that I haven't shown, and I should maybe just quickly share my screen one more time, if that's okay. And we'll bring in, why is that not going to open up my file? I'll just start this again. So we just give me a minute here. Can you see my screen, Wolfgang?
Not yet, no.
You can't see it?
Not yet, no.
I don't know why. I can't get this to work, funny enough. Here, share screen. Can you see my screen now?
Something's happening, yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
all good.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll just bring that big job in again. All right, so okay, and we will import generic teeth. All right, so and I will just select the teeth that I want to use, brush that across, delete unwanted, and then just bring this down. So in addition to all of this, we've got like a orthodontic template, wire template. Actually, where have I got this? Here, I've actually got it here. So this is an orthodontic template that orthodontists use, and you bring it into our blender scene when you do a big wax up job. And then what we can do is we can set them to this specific arch. So this one is a biform 2. So what you do is you're scaling it to the approximation of your arch. You put it around there, and this is helpful for people that have really maloccluded teeth, for example, and you want to make veneers. Just say, for example, this lateral is like this, for example, and you don't know how far you want to bring this tooth out. Let's just put it like that. So in your diagnostic wax up, you can just simply bring it out to that line like that, and we will then know that the tooth is in the correct way, assuming all of these are natural teeth now, except for that lateral, and you want to make a veneer or 2 laterals. So this is very helpful for us then to place this over there and this over there, so we can get them nicely lined in the arch. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're not just working by eye, but you've got actually a template that you're using to work with.
Exactly. And this template you can move up and down, and you can bring in your own templates if you want to. This is basically a PNG file which we can use in Blender, and then it's been made transparent. Okay, so this is like really quite good, I find. Okay, I'll stop sharing my screen. So this is one thing I wanted to share as well.
Okay, so Michael, the capabilities of this WaxUp module is you can either use tooth libraries, or you can use a patient's existing teeth to use as a WaxUp. And then, of course, to make temporary crowns, which is amazing, especially given the fact that we've got such fast printers at the moment.
Yeah. Good.
nice.
Right.
All right. I
Are
think
there any other suggestions that we might want to introduce into the module?
Have you recorded the session so we can
Yes,
share
yes,
the?
I have. I've recorded the
Okay.
session.
Yeah, I think we've covered a lot. We've covered the gum. You can use that for all on fours, for example, if you want to have some gum there. So there's quite a lot we can do. Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Michael. Really appreciate it. I think you winged it. It probably
Yep.
a totally unrehearsed kind of module.
We did have one crash.
You had one crash, but you redeemed yourself.
It was a good save.
Yeah. Auto
Yeah.
save. Remember that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. All right, guys. Signing off.
Super. Thank you for joining us.
We'll chat again, and this thing should be finished like in a week from now, I think, or 10 days, I think.
Yeah.
Wolfgang, that's your department.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's me.
One question though,
Yes.
Yeah.
if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
You mentioned the crown and bridge model. When
Yes.
do you have
Well,
an estimate
Well, it's
for the crown and bridge
we-
model?
we've been using it for a year and a half. So all we need to do is package it up, and make it as friendly as possible. So this WaxUp module is a big part of the crown and bridge. The crown and bridge is actually quite small because all it does is joins the teeth together with the margins, with block out and stuff. So I think this WaxUp is probably even bigger than the crown and bridge. Yeah.
And this model, the WaxUp model, is prerequisite for the crown and bridge?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
It's the entry to the denture and the entry to the crown and bridge work module.
So again, the denture will be a very small module as well. So yeah.
Sorry, Wolf, I didn't get it.
So the denture module will also be a very tiny little menu structure because a lot of it is being dealt with in the WaxUp. So the WaxUp is like an intermediate between the crown and bridge and the denture. So yeah.
I see. Okay.
But we have a free run now till the end of the year, and Michael's working full time on this thing. So I think if it uninterrupted, you should be able to handle this, Michael.
Yeah, I've sort of sold my business so that I can just work every day and do this. So
yeah,
I'm completely committed. Okay. Anyway, thank you and good night from us from the sunny Gold Coast. Time to go to bed.
Okay.
See you
Cheers,
guys.
Good night.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys.
We're in the middle of the day in my place.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Nice catching up again.